No worries.
There you go. Very good.
All right, guys, back with the Sunday Market Blitz. Let's get into it. We're going to run through the method here, starting with DXY. I'm going to do this on every single pair that I present to you guys. We're just going to go to the daily time frame, assess the overall trend, drop to the 4-hour time frame, and then come up with 2 scenarios, and then take it from there. So here's the daily time frame. We don't even need all this analysis on here. You can make it super simple. Again, all we need is the trend. So you can look at this chart. It's printing higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. It's moving upward, and we haven't really taken out any highs yet, right? We're still pretty much bullish. So this is strong characteristics of a bullish trend, right? Nothing here is saying, all right, this is clearly bearish, right? So with that information, we can now drop to the 4-hour and now assess what's going on here on the 4-hour. So those of you guys that know, DXY is just the US dollar index. So it's just showing us the dollar strength. We're not actually trading this. We like to be aware of what the trend is on the overall daily time frame and then on the 4-hour, which shows us kind of like the week-to-week trend, right? What's going to be the most apparent for this week? You know, this Monday to Friday, the 4-hour trend is looking more bearish. So this is probably going to be the trend that's taking us through this week. Okay, so we like to be aware of this because DXY makes up a lot of trade, right? 80% of all trade. It's a huge influence in the rest of the market. So you really want to be aware of it. And, you know, volume has been heightened lately due to certain, you know, global economic factors. So the dollar's really been moving the rest of the market. So it's good to be aware of what trends are present. And then we can use that information kind of like an indicator on the other pairs. Okay, so here's the 4-hour. We're looking bearish. Now, we did say the daily was a little more bullish, right, overall, but here we're showing bearish, right? So what had happened? We broke key support here at 106.4, moved below it, got some sort of rejection here, moving lower. So we did get a lower low. We hit 105. Now it's pulling back. So we really need to see structure and reactions near a key zone. So if this were to continue bearish, ideally we'd see some sort of lower high in this area, which is key confluence, right? Rejecting a lot of key points here. Good area for structure. If we did reverse and see good bearish variations, we would then say to ourselves, okay, this is probably going to continue bearish for the week, and then use that information on other pairs, right? Now, for us to say DXY is bullish, we need to see strong characteristics of a bullish trend, starting with the 4-hour here. So we need to break above 106.4, see some sort of higher low confirmed, and then start pushing higher, right? Then it would say, all right, we're bullish, guys. The dollar's bullish, and then that would translate, you know, into, you know, different setups, different analysis, and so on. Okay, so this is DXY. This is what the most likely is for the week, right? We're pulling back. Need to see some sort of reaction or lack thereof, right? If there's a lack of reaction, price action will probably move through. If we do see some sort of reaction, it's probably going to give us that lower high and then start heading lower. Okay, so that's DXY. We're aware of what's possible for the week. Let's now go over to AU, which is our first tradable pair, and bring it out to the daily time frame. So same thing as we did on DXY. We're just going to zoom out and see what the overall trend is, right? So we can just follow price action very simply. We're moving lower, clear bearish trend there. Here's our lower low, pulled back, gave us a lower high, right? Push to the prior low, lower high, lower low, or lower high here, right? Lower low. Then we broke the lower high. So now it's an attempt to go bullish, pushes up. Now we need structure, gives us a higher low. So I can actually just draw this in, right? This was the transition. Oh, shit. Well, right here, 0.685. This was the transition once we broke back above that. And then started going bullish once we confirm this higher low. So we are actually bullish on AU right now on the daily, right? So with that information, let's go to the 4-hour, see what's going on here. Is this a sustainable trend? Is it going to continue bullish? You know, we can use the 4-hour to find those confirmations and then just follow the trend here. So we did see a recent rally, right? We saw a lot of resistance first over here. We're showing a nice bullish channel, started getting resistance at 0.7, started pushing lower, started getting really choppy with a little bit of volume here, pushed back up into this consolidation area, right? And then took off. We broke 0.7 on this candle here. Huge, huge volume, kind of what you needed to see to break that. You know, you didn't want to see small candles. You really needed something with conviction, and that was it right there. So it took off, rallied to the next zone, 0.711, right? And we're getting this bit of a, you know, ascending triangle where we have a key flat resistance and then higher lows pushing up to that point. And eventually it's going to explode either to the upside or downside. So for us to get into a long scenario here, because right, this just broke into a 4-hour bullish trend. We want to see structure to kind of confirm that it's going to continue. So we really need to see structure. Ideally, price action rejects 0.711, pulls down, gives us some sort of higher low as close to 0.7 as possible. So this support zone down here, you want a higher low as close to that as possible because we have a lot of factors making this a confluence area, right? There's a lot of support here, good structure. It'd be a great area for a higher low. Also testing these prior highs, right? There's a lot of factors here. So this would be ideal. I went ahead and marked up a little trade scenario where if this were to play out, this is roughly what the trade would look like, right? We're looking at a 4-to-1, looking to get 100 pips, risking about 25, and this will slightly vary. My personal rule is I won't take anything under a 2-to-1, so we could really push it out to 50 for 100 if we really wanted. So it'll, again, vary slightly where your entry is going to be depending on where that confirmation actually hits. But either way, it's looking like a pretty good trade. So that's the most likely scenario. Obviously, price action could do a lot of different things. This is just the most ideal for me, where I would feel 100% confident in taking this position. So another scenario is this just pushes up, right? We establish a new high there, in which case we'll look for structure above 0.711, this support level, or well, it would be a support level if we did break above. So that's one scenario it could play out. It would take a little bit of a while, so I'd wait to analyze this. If it did break higher, it's then got to pull back, find rejection, and then execute. So that's a scenario, but both are bullish, right? If we were to consider this bearish, we really need to come down and break 0.7, form structure below, and then I could comfortably say, okay, this is looking more bearish on the 4-hour. Maybe we can find some short setups and start targeting down towards, lower support levels. All right. So that's really the potential on AU this week. Whichever way it goes, we have some waiting to do. So we'll have to be patient with this one. But we know what we need to see in order to get into some situations. That's kind of the downside of huge volume, right? You have to wait. Once there's a huge push, you have to wait for some consolidation, then the pullback, which obviously if there's more volume, it's going to be a larger pullback, equals more time. So we're in that patient mode right now on AU. It happens. So let's go over to AJ. Same thing, guys. We're going to zoom out, daily time frame, clear this up. Super simple. What is this trend? Right, that sounds like a game show. What is this trend? Bullish, bearish, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, consolidation at the high. So overall, this is a bullish chart. So the trend on the daily time frame is bullish. Let's now go to the 4-hour and see what the 4-hour is telling us. Okay, so we actually just zoom out a little bit more here. I want to make you guys aware of the zones that we have, right? So we've been seeing a ton of consolidation between 95 and 93. Just look to the left, lots of bouncing. 3 touches right there, couple right there, and then this symmetrical triangle just dancing around this zone. Couldn't really get any footing, couldn't choose a direction until broke above 93, failed to break above 95, started pushing lower. And here's the volume. Look at this fall off, guys. This thing tanked all the way down to 91 and then pushed back up. Started getting some higher lows around 93, pushing higher, and now we're back at 95. So really, this is all about 95, how price action reacts at this zone. We can see over here that we really struggled to get higher lows above this zone. There's a ton of consolidation once it broke, failed to follow through. Same thing here, right? Failed to follow through or give us any sort of structure. So that's really going to be key if we are going to continue bullish here. We need something clear. Not like this. This is all crap price action. We need something really clear with conviction. Okay, or it could reject, which we've seen lots of, right? A bunch of times over here. We just get above 95, and then here come the bears. Huge, huge volume. Pretty much every time. I mean, we spent some time here, but then boom, biggest fall off we've seen in these zones. So we're really ready for either. That's what we went ahead. That's why we went ahead and drew in these 2 scenarios. So the most likely is it will continue bullish. The overall time frames are suggesting that this is just going to continue, as well as the 4-hour. So we're aware of this. We need a higher high, higher low, like we said, above 95, then some good follow through. But if this does start to fall off, we'll look for a low, followed by a lower high, a clear lower high below 95, ideally some wicks, maybe tweezer top, some rejection, and then some sort of bearish variation to enter on. Engulfing, evening stars, 3 good examples in a row with lower downside wicks, right? That's what we want to enter on. And I went ahead and threw this little short scenario on to just make things easy to see, right? We're looking to get 150, risking 50 pips, so it's a 3-to-1. So whichever way it goes, we're gonna have some pretty good setups. I'd be a little more patient on the bullish scenario because again, you don't want to get faked out like we did over here. Just make sure it's clear, make sure it's good sized candles. We don't see too much consolidation, and the follow throughs there. So that's AJ. Have a little waiting to do, but again, guys, 95 reactions at 95 will tell you where it's going to go next. Just have to wait and follow the market. That's AJ. Anything going on in chat? Why do you pull fibs from wick to wick? Why I do pull fibs from wick to wick. Let's go to the daily time frame. UJ, we're gonna do the same thing, guys. All right. So overall, we're bullish. We're about to go bearish if we break this level here, right around 132. But overall, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and then we're back at this higher low over here. So this is really the key zone. We're closer to, going bearish if we do break this zone here at 132. So still bullish. Could break though. Let's go to the 4-hour and see what's going on here. Or 133 rather. That's the zone. That's the make or break zone right here. So the 4-hour is telling us this is bearish as well. Or well, this is strongly bearish, right? Pushing down towards 133. Lower lows, lower highs, huge fall off there. Now we got a lower low below 133, but look what failed to form, right? There's no lower high here. It pushed right back above 133, found a little bit of support. And then I would still consider this some consolidation, right? All this up here as well, came back down. Now it's looking like a bit of a head and shoulders. Go ahead and grab that tool just for a visual. And then 133 would actually be the neckline, which lines up pretty well. So that's just more confluence, right? So there you have it. Right shoulder, which is forming now. And then in theory, according to this pattern, we're looking for a break of the neckline. And then, you could target the height of the pattern, which is like, what is this? Like, let's just say 300 pips, which pretty much lines up with what we already have here for the short scenario. So that's just rule of thumb for head and shoulders, but we have to still wait and see if it plays out. Wait for this right shoulder to form and then see if 133 holds or breaks. Now, if it does break, we're looking to continue with this 4-hour bearish trend. Price action will move lower. We'll get the lower low, ideally down here. And then it pulls back, gives us a clear lower high, clearly below 133, right? You don't want price action dancing around the zone. You want clear rejection. This zone is a ceiling. We're pushing lower now. There's our lower high. And then we're looking to enter on, clear bearish setups. Again, the evening stars, the engulfings, the 3 in a row. That would be clear to us then. And then this is looking like over 3.5 to 1 risk reward. So we're risking about 75 roughly to get 275. So not a bad scenario. Now we did draw in the long opportunity here. I would be hesitant on this just because this is really the zone we have to break to consider this bullish again. So if this were to happen, I would say, all right, the 4 hours bullish, right? This is more or less down here, just an opportunity presented by, high volume, right? So like, look at this distance here. We have 300 pips just back to broken structure, right? So that's a distance. So this is definitely a possibility. We see some sort of rejection now. We find support at 133 instead of breaking it, start pushing higher. And then I would recommend to anyone who's day trading, look to enter on higher lows on like a 30-minute or 15-minute, riding this short-term trend back up towards resistance here, and then wait for reactions there. Okay. I could go ahead and throw a label on this price label, just so you guys know the zone, pretty much 135.6 area. Okay, that's broken structure, right? This is the low. We moved below that, came back up, retested it. So we could pull back all the way to here and still be, technically bearish. All right, so that's the AJ analysis. This is the potential for the week. Really hoping we go bearish. This would be a beautiful setup. Those in signals, keep an eye out for this one this week. But yeah, that's UJ. Let's go over to EJ, and then I got gold for you. This one's looking great too. This one's probably highest on my watch list, but let's not jump the gun. Let's go to the daily time frame. See what the overall trend is. Okay, let's just follow this. Pushing up, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Retest of the high, right? Then we started pushing lower. We broke this higher low, got a lower low, real big pullback for a lower high, and then the next lower low. Here we are at the next lower high. So we're looking more bearish here on the daily, right? We started moving lower. We took out this higher low, started getting the opposite, right? Strong characteristics of a bearish trend. Lower lows and lower highs after a higher low is broken. So that's exactly what we have here. So we're looking bearish. So now let's go to the 4-hour and see what the 4-hour is doing. So the 4-hour is bearish as well. Here's that recent break of 137. Nice bearish channel, huge fall off, good volume. Almost hit support at 133. We fell short right around 133.5. Pushed up. Now we're dancing, or we were dancing around 137. Right? We're looking for reactions a little bit lower. Didn't really get it. Got this weird expanding pattern. So we were a little hesitant on that. But now it's looking a little more clear. Right? This pattern kind of failed. Price action broke below. Now we're trying to see if this is the confirmed lower high we've been waiting for. I'm really just waiting for confirmation here. Either it's going to give us a nice size candle clearly below this low, and then that'd be something to enter on, or you could be super conservative, wait for the low below 137 and then catch the next lower high. That's okay too. You know, it just might be a little more time you have to wait for it. But yeah, it depends on if EJ wants to take off immediately or form a little more, you know, clear structure like over here in this previous channel. So really, lower highs below 137 is where we're at on EJ. But let's consider the opposite, right? We're analysts. We want to be aware of all scenarios. What do we need to see to look at this chart on the EJ on the 4-hour and say this is more bullish, right? So the opposite of what we just kind of marked up. We need to see a push back above 137, clear higher high, pull back, rejection of 137 as new support, confirming the higher low at the same time, and then we could then enter on that. I'll draw this long position in as well. Why not? Visuals are always good. And roughly this would be somewhere like this, right about, let's just call it 70 pips just for a nice whole number. Because again, this is slightly going to vary depending on where price action confirms. And then that would determine your stop loss. You know, if there's a large wick or something, you want to be below that. So these are just kind of rough numbers, but it looks pretty good, right? A 3-to-1, we'll just wait for price action to play out. If it fits what we're looking for, we're going to take it. If it doesn't, then we move on to the next one. So that's EJ. Pretty clean. I'm liking this price action. Just want to see this kick off, and that'd be one hell of a trade. Oh, I didn't give you the risk to reward on this setup. So this is, we're looking to get 350. That's how much volume we've been seeing. Huge distance to this next zone down here, 133. So we're looking to get 350. We're going to risk around 100. Again, it'll vary. And we're looking at a 3.5 to 1 risk reward. So if I risk, you know, 1% per trade, I'm going to get 3.5 if this trade hits, or 2% turns into 7%. So that's a lot when you're talking in funding terms as well. Right. All right. So let's move over to gold. Last one from me. This one's actually looking pretty good. Daily time frame to start though. Same thing. What's the overall trend? So we have been bearish since back here. I remember this very specifically. We took out all this consolidation right after we formed this higher low. It consolidated. Then we took it out right here. Huge price action, kind of just falling off. Gave us a low. Gave us a lower high. Gave us a low. Now it's pulling back. It's about to test where this previous low was. So this is really the make or break zone at 1800, which is no coincidence. 1800 has been a major player zone for a while. Way back. So 1800 is key. We're looking for rejections from here. We're not going to jump the gun on this because, again, 1800 is the key zone for the daily time frame. So if we do reject it, it's probably going to be a pretty big fall off because it's going to be a trend continuation according to the daily. If we do break above it and see structure above, it could be a pretty massive move to the upside. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's just zone in here to see what price action is doing around 1800. So we started off with this kind of expanding pattern, meaning we had a consolidation to start, then volume started increasing, right? These swings are becoming more dramatic. And then we pushed into 1800, started going sideways. This is a clear range, right? Lots of bouncing. There's no direction here. And then finally, we're looking for it to break above to continue with the bullish trend that we can see here on the 4-hour. See structure above, enter on that, and then target the weekly, which is at 1825. It looks kind of close, but there's 250 pips there. You'd risk about 75. You're looking to get just over 3-to-1. So again, same thing. 1% you're risking, you're looking to get 3% back. That's a great trade. And again, my rule is 2-to-1. I won't take anything under 2-to-1. So that's the bullish scenario. The most likely, really just need to see reactions off the top of this range right now, because it looks like we did just break it. So we could have a setup here kind of soon, in the next, 8 to 16 hours, maybe. We'll see. But what has to happen for us to see the opposite here? To say that gold is looking more bearish, we need to see a bearish break of the range, meaning we need to see a good amount of bearish pressure, get below 1800, give us a lower low, pull back for the lower high, and then look for a continuation from there, right? So good price action off 1800 is going to be key, right? Nice engulfings, nice bearish variations, and that'd be something we'd be interested in shorting. But until that happens, we need to be patient, guys. We need to really just follow the market. I'm not going to predict anything. It does look more like it's going to go bullish, but we haven't seen our confirmation yet. Right? I need to see a nice engulfing right now, or some sort of, variation to enter. Not going to jump the gun. All right, so that's actually the last asset that I'm going to analyze for you guys. Right, we wrapped it up with gold. Quick recap. I went through DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And these are posted in Telegram, Discord if you guys want to refer to them throughout the week. They're also on TradingView with some other notes that I put in there. But I'm going to pass it off to Angelo. Thank you, guys. Hope you guys got some value out of this. Some good setups, though. Not bad. Looking good.
Yeah, good work with the analysis. So just as a reminder, everybody on the call, make sure to post us on your IG story, tag the Funded Trader and Forex League pages. We're going to do a giveaway. We're giving away 2 10K challenges on the call. So all you have to do is post us on your IG story, and I'll repost it after the call, and then we'll pick the winners. I'm going to get into some Forex analysis, and I'm also going to cover NAS 100 and BTC at the end. We like to start off first just looking at how the analysis played out from last week. So the people that were on the call last week, you can see, how the analysis had done based on what we talked about. We're going to start off with DXY. As always, we're going to take a look at what actually happened on DXY last week and then where we're at right now. As always, we like to bump up to the weekly time frame, start on this time frame and work our way down. We'll just take this off and then explain once we get down to the lower time frame. So weekly time frame on DXY, we have our lower level right here, 105. We have our higher level up here at 110. And we're pretty much just ranging within this zone. If we zoom out all the way, we can see why these levels are marked. And we go over this literally every single week, but it's just good to reiterate. This level is based on support, resistance, support, going all the way back to here. We had some resistance there. Definitely a key zone. Also like a quarter mark, 105. It's a whole round number. So it's like a psychological level as well. Then we have 110. Same deal. We had some support here, resistance here. Going back either further, we had some resistance, support going all the way back. Obviously, it's not as relevant, all of this. So it's mainly based on this area. And then moving up, we can see how price has reacted now around this zone. We're overall in an uptrend. So we've been trending upwards for the last several weeks at this point, all the way since last year. So last several months. And now we're in a pullback, right? We had this move to the upside. So we formed this new high point right here. And now we're pulling back. Last week, we had anticipated some sort of reversal off of this. And it actually did not reverse according to how we had planned it or forecasted it. It actually came back into the red zone and rejected it once again. Regardless, we're still seeing the potential here for reversal. We can see how the candles are forming, wicks to the bottom, right? Showing rejection of this resistance level now turned into support. It is the previous high point as well. So really what we're looking for right now is for price to continue this uptrend and move up into this 110 area again until we got below this area. Personally, wouldn't be too excited about sells. Coming to the 4-hour time frame, we did have a break of structure on the 4-hour. So looking at the 4-hour time frame, we were actually in a downtrend. And then last week, we actually formed this head and shoulders pattern like this. Boom. And then we actually had the neckline right here. So I was anticipating a potential break to the upside, and then we would look to long as soon as we broke. as you guys can see, did not happen. We actually ended up breaking this higher low that had formed and moving into a downtrend. And now we're pretty much just at this low point. We did break like a minor level of resistance right here. So dialing it back a step, guys, the way that I'm looking at this weekly, if overall I'm very bullish and now we're in the red zone, so this is my rejection area, I actually would want to be looking for potential long opportunities based on the fact that we're in a high probability reversal zone, right? The weekly is overall bullish, and now we're getting a break of resistance right here. So very minor, but even so, say we get some sort of retest in this area, retesting right above the red zone, we then could see this thing reverse and continue to go to the upside. Again, I'd not look for shorts unless we get all the way below the red area. So my bias is still overall relatively bullish on DXY, considering where we are right now. So drop in the chat if you guys have any ideas on DXY. Let me know what you guys are thinking. With that being said, I'm going to hop over to NU. This is going to be the first pair that we go over. And as you could see last week, we actually planned to take a short. And this one we got stopped out on. So we're going to go over what exactly happened on this, because this thing out of nowhere just shot up, right? Very exponentially. Overall in the weekly, we're in a downtrend, forming these lower lows and lower high points, right? Over and over again. And then this is the typical pattern we look for, which is why I triggered this trade, is if we go back and we just take off last week's candle and like look where we actually were, we basically were in a downtrend overall. We had not exactly an engulfing, but like a spinning top or reversal candle at a resistance level going down to the 4-hour time frame. We definitely were like testing the support level, form this lower high point, right? So I was basically just anticipating a retest. We also broke this trend line. So this is just, one of my setups that I always look for. And ultimately I got some entry signals right around this area, right? We started getting like double rejection of the resistance, and then it just got stopped out. So is what it is. It's a trade that I'll most likely take again, given a scenario similar, and it happens. So this week, coming back to where we currently are, we're back in a major resistance level. Although things have changed a little bit, we still are overall in this downtrend on the weekly time frame. We are now at a major resistance level again. Zooming out, we can see we have support here, resistance. This is not as clear right there. But even so, this is definitely a level where price has reversed that in the past, even going further back, support all along this area. So I'm going to be looking for reversals in this area coming to the 4-hour. I'm going to be very patient on this. As we can see, price is starting to lose some steam right here. We're starting to form a very like reversal type pattern. We're starting to slow up at this level. So if we start to see something like this, where we start to break down to the downside, then I would short this, and I'd love to get it right around this resistance level. I'm not going to actually put a trade on here, like any sort of mapping symbol or anything. Anything like long or short position tool, because I'm more just forecasting, because we have a little ways to go. Really need to break this support level ultimately to start to actually think whether we're going to enter this or not. And then coming back to DXY, with the thinking that DXY is going to go bullish, it would actually back the idea that this thing would then go bearish if the dollar is going to gain strength against the New Zealand dollar. So that's my idea for NZD USD. Next, let's go over to NAS 100. So this is a trade that we took last week. I believe we ended up taking this. We took it in the signal room. I don't think we took it on this call last week, but it was given out on August 9th. So it was given out 5 days ago. So yeah, right around here. The beginning of the week was like right around here. So pretty much on last week's session, weekly time frame, we started to get very bullish on NAS 100. We had this rally all the way from the bottom down here, broke resistance, right? So we're just getting extremely bullish once we break this level. And then we broke above this resistance level. So I'm just going to change this back to red. And then coming down to the 4-hour, it was very clear that we were in this uptrend. This was the level that we wanted price to test. It came to that level, and then we started to show resistance. So that's pretty much why we took the long opportunity. Just through stops below the previous support level. Honestly, could have put stops even closer, and this trade would have been really big if it was a 6.5 risk reward trade. This is where we're currently at. Kind of closed it out at the end of last week at right around 2%, like right around here. But it is still running, and that's because I risked 2% on it. This thing is still running. Right now, the target is up in this area. So, I mean, personally, I'm not re-entering. I'm not doing anything with this. This is really just a trade that is just running from last week.
That's a beauty. Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah, this thing
classic.
really, yeah, this thing really played out well. So got burned on NU, but then I was a little more confident on this one. I put 2% on this and ended up closing at 4%. So lost 1%, made 3%. Not bad. Not bad. It's the name of the
Not at
game,
all.
guys. That is the name of the game. So coming over to UCAD. Last week coming into this, we didn't have a trade. Like we weren't going to take a trade because it just wasn't in an area I wanted to take an entry in. So I kind of forecasted this idea. I was going to wait for it to break to the upside, and then I was going to buy it. As you can see, did not happen. Ended up just pushing down. So let's just delete this. And let's just come back up to the weekly and just see overall, right, where are we at? So overall on the weekly time frame, 1 second. So overall on the weekly time frame, we were in this very weak ascending channel, right, moving to the upside. And then we started to hit a ton of resistance here. Although we did get pretty bullish, as we could see 2 weeks ago, shot down, retest. Now we just engulfed it again. Right. So I could imagine that we're going to have some sort of retest here. But overall, I'm thinking at this point, we rejected the red zone. This is our key level that we have drawn based on price testing it multiple times. And we just had an engulfing off of that level. So it's very likely we're now going to push to the downside. I mean, if we look on the 4-hour, it's kind of clear that this has broken into a downtrend. Now there's two ways to trade this at the moment. This is going to be the riskier trade. I'm going to mark it with 2 levels. So this is 100% the more risky position to take. And then this would be a much more ideal entry, more in this area up here. Reason being is if we go all the way, we fib all this. We've got our 61.8 zone up here. We do have 38.2, which is a good reversal zone. But this is just letting it breathe a bit more. And I don't know, I would just be more comfortable taking a trade in this area personally. Not to say that I wouldn't take this trade now, looking at how we do have multiple confirmations. We have support turned into resistance. We already rejected this zone, big engulfing. Now we're starting to show some bearish price action. This isn't exactly an evening star right here. So I would want to wait for some sort of engulfing from this level or like another large wick. And then this is pretty much the trade that I would take. It would be a short opportunity here. And I do kind of like how this is actually the opposite of what I'm mapping out for DXY, because then this gives me another option. We would be targeting the lower end of the channel. Stops would pretty much just be in this area. As you can see, it's a really good risk reward trade. 37 pip stop loss, 200 pip target. So yeah, that's kind of trade number 1. This is again the way more risky version. I would risk, for example, 1% on this, and then I would probably risk 2% if it did actually come all the way up here, because I have my red zone. Like always trading near the red zone, which is a weekly resistance, is always going to be like the much more ideal situation. And then like if I really want to get conservative, I throw my stop all the way above the red zone. If I want to be more aggressive, I throw my stop above the previous high. As you can see, the risk reward becomes really good if we throw stops in this area. So this is trade idea 1. This is trade idea 2. on UCAD. Probably will be taking both of these trades. Well, hopefully only one. If I take the first one, hopefully the second one doesn't have to, play out at all. But if it does, I'll probably take the second one as well if it does show some sort of confirmation there. So you guys have any ideas, let me know. Someone said that's a head and shoulders. Yeah, if you go down to the lower time frame, definitely see what you're talking about. There's like multiple head and shoulders patterns on this, but this is like a lower time frame. And then there actually is one on this side as well, where it came down. So that's why it'd be nice to come up and retest this neckline and then move lower. So there's multiple head and shoulders patterns on this pair in particular right now. I think it's going to go to the 61 fib zone. Yeah, I mean, if DXY pushes up like we're anticipating, then very likely that this thing is going to push up as well. So that again would definitely be the more high probable zone to trade within. So that's going to be UCAD, possible chance for divergence there to add in confluence. Yeah. So if you have a chart, feel free to drop. You guys have another idea on UCAD. We're going to move over. We're going to hop into GJ. This is a trade I personally didn't trigger, but the analysis played out really well last week. This would have been actually a really big trade. Ended up moving 180 pips to the downside, even more depending where you could have potentially entered it. But let's just cover like what actually happened in this trade last week. So coming up to the weekly time frame, it was pretty simple. Weekly time frame was just at this resistance zone. We've had this on here forever, right? So this is support, resistance, all in this area, even going back much further. There's a lot of resistance in this area previously. So all I'm looking for y'all that are new to the call is I'm really looking for areas where price reverses aggressively, because that when price comes back into those areas, we can almost always assume that there is going to be some reversal. And as you can see now, we're starting to get some reversal off of this area. We previously fell. We actually caught this move together. I'm sure if you went back to the call April of this year, you'd be able to see this move. And then now we're starting to take this move. Looking at price action, it's been really choppy up in this area. So we had like this engulfing, and then it came up, and then another engulfing. But like all these wicks to either side can definitely throw you off. But as you come down to the 4 hour, and specifically looking at last week, we had this huge rejection of the weekly resistance. So sellers are stepping in, establishing control, huge engulfing. And then last week, right when we opened up the market, basically was saying that if I see another rejection in this area, I'm going to trigger a trade. Didn't even look at this because I was in another trade. So I didn't even get an opportunity to take this. I was in NU and NOS 100, didn't want to actually enter another one, and then ended up pushing really well. So this one played out pretty good. And then if we take this off, right, like where are we currently at? When would we actually get in on this again? Looking at how we're about to hit a major support level. And then we also have an opportunity to retest a resistance level that just formed. These are going to be pretty much the two areas that we're going to be looking for reversal. So if price breaks below here, easily going to try to re-enter and stick to our original targets. Or if price never breaks there and we just come back up to this supply zone, this would also be a really good area to enter from. So going to be patient on this one. Coming back up to the weekly, we can see the next resistance zone is all the way down here, this previous high. So there is a lot of room for this thing to fall to the downside. Obviously, if this trade did make it up into this area and we put stops either here or even here, and then we've got our first target right there, and then ultimately, like this would actually be the best target to target down here. Like this could be a massive swing trade. And then even if it comes back for the retest, throw stops somewhere in this area. Target 1 is here, target 2 is down here. These are obviously very large stop losses, but these are swing trades. So we're trying to swing these for multiple days at a time and getting really good risk reward on them. So GJ, these are the two ideas. I'm gonna actually move this up because I'm gonna watch GJ a bit more closely this week. UCAD's obviously probably the one most closely to entering. And then we have GU. So GU was another one last week. I didn't take a trade on this one, but we did have two scenarios on here that we wanted to see if they potentially played out. And the dollar was just weak. Last week, the dollar was weak. Definitely not in the direction that I was anticipating. But you can see here, my idea was I had this head and shoulders pattern, broke the neckline, double top at the level. I mean, it doesn't get cleaner than that. So it's just a trade that I would take, over and over again, coming up to the weekly time frame and kind of looking at what happens with a more zoomed out approach. We can see the weekly has broken from this downtrend. We're now in this reversal, right? Like trying to see whether we're going to continue to go up higher. And we formed not exactly a reversal candle, but we started slowing up at my resistance zone. And then last week we formed this candle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove all of these just to clean things up a little bit. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to remember where we're at. So basically on GU, for y'all that don't know, this pair has actually never closed below this area before. So price is in an area that it's really never been previously, zooming all the way out. This 1.2 level, we've actually really never closed below here until, look at this, like closed, follow up, bullish, bullish. Right now we're breaking back to be pretty bullish. So this is like a dangerous area to be trading in. Zooming out again, I just want to get an overall idea as to where another resistance level could potentially be, coming up a little bit higher. I'm just going to mark something right here. And a lot of you are probably like, why are you marking it there? Why aren't you marking it lower? I mean, this level certainly isn't the most perfect level in the entire world, but I'm basing it off of all of this resistance, support all in this level, support, resistance all in this level. Doesn't exactly touch there, but then more previously resistance there. So this would, in my opinion, be the next target. Definitely have to be mindful of like this area. We had a break and retest in this area as well. But yeah, that's the more major level. And then coming down to the 4 hour, as I see it right now, we broke above the red zone, so our support level. We broke above this resistance. Now we're retesting. Really curious what you guys think on this one. When it comes to GU, I would love to see price start to consolidate in this area, and then we finally break to the upside. And then this thing continues in this kind of bullish trend right here. This would also line up pretty well with UCAD. I'd probably put stops somewhere in this area to be below the red. And again, we'd be targeting a true swing trade here. We have our next weekly level all the way up here. Obviously, if this thing did play out, it would take sometimes several days to actually come through. But this is my idea on GU. It lines up again, similar to UCAD, considering we're looking at UCAD going potentially shorter to the downside. So this is expecting dollar weakness. On NU, we're expecting some dollar strength. GJ is a little bit different. But going back to DXY, right? Remember, we originally planned for this thing to do a bounce to the upside. If this happens, those GU and UCAD trades will pretty much be invalidated, and NU would then play out. So sometimes I do like having some different ideas, some like alternative ideas. Some weeks when we come on, everything lines up. Like I have the dollar going long, and then I have NU, UCAD, GU all going, short or long, depending on which side the dollar's on for that pair. So sometimes it all lines up and sometimes they're a little bit different. But I think it's good to have different ideas. That way, if one loses, like last week I had NU lose, and then I had Nas 100 win. So obviously like netted it out. And that's kind of the name of the game, like for everyone that knows the risk reward and everything like that. So the red zones are weekly zones. So you guys know. And I try to keep things as cleaned up as possible. I mean, I've always I've always had, or I've gone through many different ways of going about charting and whatnot. And for me, this has now become the easiest way. I don't intraday trade at all right now just because schedule is too busy to do that. So I like to start on the weekly. 3 things I look for on the weekly is what are the levels, what is the trend, and then what is price action doing. And then from there, I just basically go down the 4 hour to execute. So if the 4 hour lines up in the direction of the overall trend, that's when I'm taking my 2% trades. And then if it's not in the direction of the overall trend, but I like the setup, that's when I'm taking the 1% trades. So yeah, this is pretty much it. This is the Sunday market blitz. Last thing we'll go over is BTC. Like to just come on this one. And BTC's it's about to take a lot of money from a lot of people because I don't know what you think, Nick, but this thing's starting to come back for sure, but I feel like it's got another leg to the downside in it.
Oh man, big sigh. It could definitely, it definitely flip and head back down. I think it's too soon. There's too little price action considering look at the fall off we just had to really make an accurate prediction or even trade setup. So I would just say it's too early to tell. You need more price action. Downside potential is more likely than not. So plan accordingly. Don't put the house on it just yet. That's what I got to say about BTC. But I am long on BTC long term. Whether it be a year or 2 years before we get back to these highs that we've seen, I'm definitely bullish on BTC and Ethereum, really more so for the next few years.
Yeah, no, I'm bullish on BTC as well, guys. For those that haven't been on the call before, we've gone over this many times. We got the McDonald's strategy on here. So all I'm doing is dollar cost averaging onto every level. So right now we're right at the 19 level. I already put in here. If it comes down to 12, I'll put in. If it comes down to 35, I'll put in. We're pretty much going big or going broke here. So if this thing does end up reversing, and it hits the 3K level and hits 100K, which I think is everyone and their mother's target, 255 to 1.2 mil. So we're gonna track this and we're gonna be on here pretty much the entire lifespan of BTC, I'd say.
Pretty much, it's gonna be one of those ongoing analyses.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's all
It's
right.
gonna be one of those things where when it plays out, we're gonna be waiting so long for this to play out that we're barely even gonna celebrate.
Yeah, that's true.
We're gonna be dead. Like,
We're just gonna be not even phased. Like, oh, okay, all right, there it is, finally.
we're gonna be legit deceased. But yeah, I'm I'm definitely bullish overall on BTC. I think Ethereum definitely gave people a lot of money. And I was gonna buy here too. I was gonna buy 25K at this level,
Oof.
would have returned
I got a
almost
12. I caught it
Yeah.
at 12. I got
Yeah, so you
that
got it
900 mark, man. You should have caught it at 9 because it dipped into triple digits for like on that wick there.
wild.
Crazy shit.
Yeah, but it's back at a level now where it's dangerous. Like this thing
Yes,
could reverse hard.
reactions are imminent.
It's right there.
We'll see, guys. I mean, there's a wick already. Not a good sign.
There's a wick already. Holy shit.
A nice weekly wick. Yeah,
Maybe
that's
creating a lower high. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. Is if you were to fib this, you're right at 38.2. You're right at the resistance level.
oh god.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is just prototypical convergence of multiple confirmations.
Yep.
So not looking too pretty at the moment.
That's what we call the danger zone. That's
is
what that
definitely-
is.
That's the lower high zone. Let's see.
Oh man.
BTC.
But yeah, guys.
Oh, he said BTC looks like a Head and Shoulders.
On what time frame?
It's
Oh,
like
this
where?
one?
It's like where?
That's a big right shoulder or left shoulder, man. That guy's working out.
Oh, here I guess on the 1 hour. Might be looking into this too much.
Oh, yeah, I guess on the left, failed one maybe. 38-2. Shake
Maybe
my head.
he's
Yeah,
maybe
Creedy,
he's
right?
saying maybe he's saying this. This is the head. Maybe it's forming the right now. No.
No, no.
No.
It's all right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. It's all right, guys.
Boy,
It's
there you go.
definitely not
You're wrong, you're wrong. Yeah, but guys, thanks for hopping on. Few announcements, giveaway. Make sure you post on your IG story that you've been on the session.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing a bunch come through. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, giveaway. Make sure you guys post. Survey for TFT ends today. So today will be the last day for the survey for TFT. Make sure you guys submit. We're gonna pick some winners for that as well. Last day for the promotion for the funded trader. So it's a % off plus 90% payouts. That ends today. Or I think it's like 90% payouts plus 125% refund. That ends today. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. And regardless of that, enjoy the week. Hope you guys, if you're taking challenges, best of luck. We'll be active throughout the week, Nick and myself, posting updates, posting analysis, keeping you guys in the loop as everything that's going on as always. So appreciate you
Oh,
all
yeah.
hopping on, and we'll catch you next week on the next session.
Awesome. Take care, guys. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.